Hi guys, I'm not in the forest today. I had to do some serious research. This video is going to be about the young people fleeing three of the most dangerous places in the world in Mexico for a better life in America that we don't seem to be doing much about. But we do a lot in other countries. We went to Iraq, we went to Panama, we went to Vietnam, we went to many places supposedly to free these people from corruption and poverty. But what are we doing for our friend to the south, which we are so concerned about the border? It doesn't make any sense. But here we go. This information comes from the Covenant House and UNICEF, two nonprofit organizations that have shelters all over the world for children seeking asylum. But they don't have enough money to do, or cooperation with the local governments, or much. They're overwhelmed. Okay, let's just put it that way. Our work in Central America and Mexico began in the 1980s when civil conflicts left young people extraordinarily vulnerable. Wars ended, but poverty, violence, political corruption, and weak civil institutions in the region remained, and they continue to push young people from their homes. Children are targets of violence in Central America. Now, in Honduras, for 8 years, from 2008 to 2016, one child died every day by homicide. By homicide. You cannot compare that to America. You can't compare that to many other countries around the world. Guatemala, 942 children died violently in 2017, 77% by firearms. 942 children died violently, 77% by firearms in Guatemala. Now, imagine being a parent in that country of a child where there's violence like that all over the place. What you wouldn't give to get your child out of a situation like that. Honduras ranks in the top 5 countries worldwide for adolescent homicide. These violent gangs that formed in the United States for years and whose members were deported to Central America in the 90s, regrouped and grew across that region in Mexico, ruling their territories by intimidation and violence. There are currently at least 7,000 gang members in Honduras alone. Central America has become a transit region for illicit drugs. 90% of the cocaine shipments that reach U.S. customers come through Mexico. Now, unaccompanied child migrants. Now, this is sad. Chronic poverty, violence, relief from critical events such as armed conflict, natural disasters, and a desire for educational opportunities are strong motivators for migration. Families may sell all they have to finance the journey, including paying a coyote smuggler $15,000 to take an unaccompanied child, they don't go with them, with no assurance for the child's safety. In 2016, more than 59,000 unaccompanied children, these children, were apprehended at the U.S. southwest border with Mexico. Under the zero tolerance policy in April 2018, the U.S. sought to prosecute adults who entered the country without authorization and separated them from their children. Such a policy leaves children vulnerable to exploitation and abuse and can cause toxic shock with negative impacts on their development. Now, I don't know what Mexico's policy is with us, but I think I would at least talk to them about having us send some army, some Marines, some military into those regions, Honduras, working with the Mexican government, Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, to oust these people and at least try to make the region better. But we're across the world. We're more worried about other things. Now, moving on. UNICEF. This comes from UNICEF. Every day, children and families from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico leave their homes and set off on a perilous journey northward, driven by the threat of violence and desperation of poverty. They risk their lives for a better future. Along the way, they face constant threat of exploitation or detention, a threat that continues if they make it across the border. And if they do return home, they often find their circumstance is worse than when their journey began. Reasons for leaving: torment of extreme poverty, threat of violence in their countries, lack of education opportunities. You've heard all that. The migration journey. There is no safe migration path. They take dangerous routes. Unaccompanied children and women are at great risk. They are easy prey to traffickers, criminals, gangs, and security forces. You don't get that when you go walk across America, walk across our country. I mean, you get criminals and you get gangs, you have all that, but not at the level that they're experiencing. 942 children dead by firearms, 70% by firearms, and others who exploit or kill them. Children may be apprehended in transit or upon reaching their destination, only to be separated from their families, detained, and sent back. What happens when they're sent back? Well, families frequently find themselves in debt, unable to earn back the money they spent, and they fall into poverty. Children endure immense psychological stress of being separated, detained, and deported to a country and socioeconomic circumstances that are new to them. They are often stigmatized by their communities and seen as failures. That sounds familiar. It rings true everywhere. When you fall into poverty, you're seen by the community as a failure. Or in the case of some teenage girls, viewed as tainted, and the threat of violence persists. In many cases, the fact that they have been to the United States can make them a target for local gangs. El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras are among the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere and the most violent in the world. Now, UNICEF calls for 6 actions to protect all refugee and migrant children. I'm going to read you one of them. Increase access to education, strengthen health and child protection systems and social safety nets, expanding opportunities for family, income, and youth employment. Okay. I think I've covered just about everything pretty well. I think I'm leaving something else out. No, I'm going to end this video and leave you with your thoughts. And as always, go to the forest. It heals you, increases your immunity by 50%, increases your concentration by 50%, as proved by Dr. King Lee. Love the trees. We need them more than we know. Thank you, and good day.